Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.
Here in the Kruger National Park, South Africa's biggest and best-known game park, a battle is being fought to protect wildlife from poachers. While new technologies are constantly being unleashed on the front lines, there is one asset, thousands of years old, that is tackling the problem of poaching head-on. Whether in training or out in the field, they are the foot soldiers in what has become a very long fight. These are the dogs of war. This is Inside Africa. Ahead, a training facility pushing the boundaries in the fight against conservation crime. Outside the town of Rustenburg in South Africa's Northwest Province is a canine training academy pushing the limits in the war on illegal poaching. Providing comprehensive training tactics to everyone from police and special forces to border patrols and military canine units. This academy is where dogs and their handlers come to prepare for their mission of saving endangered species across the continent. It all started almost 10 years ago when the scourge of rhino poaching was at its peak.
Stop! Stop!
And the Kruger National Park was the epicenter of the war on poachers.
Ultimately, the real success that they were achieving on the ground were coming from the use of 2 dogs that had been donated to them.
The Ichikovitz Family Foundation invested in expertise and established their canine academy to bolster efforts of national parks to tackle poaching.
So our canine training facility has deployed dogs right throughout the African continent, both law enforcement as well as in anti-poaching operations, dealing with both contraband detection, explosive detection, special forces operation, which has become a large part of what we're actually doing. We've deployed dogs as far afield as Malaysia, where we've got pangolin specialist dogs operating in the airports. So our footprint is quite wide and diverse.
It was here that Killer, arguably one of the world's most famous anti-poaching dogs, was trained.
He was one of the dogs that actually just stood out. He just excelled from the beginning in terms of tracking, biting and detection work. And I think Amos in particular, who worked with him there, actually brought the best out of him.
Killer continues to hold a special place in the hearts of the team here at the Academy, but he's not the only exceptional canine they have trained.
Killer has achieved a number of conservation awards for the work that he's done. In addition to that, we've also broken some Guinness World Records.
The Academy trained and deployed the world's first anti-poaching skydiving dog, Arrow, who made history by literally taking conservation efforts to new heights. Today, Ragnar, a 2-year-old Malinois, will be taking to the air for the first time, learning to rappel from a helicopter.
It actually is putting it completely out of its comfort zone. And as you could see, when we came down to land, as soon as he saw the person running away, that triggered basically that that's the time to shine.
In another first for Ragnar during his airborne training, he was deployed from a helicopter over water.
Something totally unnatural for the dog to do, but we do train around rivers and dams in particular with anti-poaching work. If the handler goes, the dog needs to go. And to see it in its environment today like that, and happy to jump in, to jump out, happy to do the bite work afterwards, you know, it shows us that the dogs are actually very well-rounded.
Ragnar is also training for another highly skilled scenario, ambushing poachers. It requires him to remain silent and hidden before being released to take down a suspect. Some dogs, like this bloodhound Jess, are specialists. Her sharp nose for tracking makes her a powerful tool in the pursuit of poachers, even though she's not a biter.
Try as much as possible to go for what we call a multi-purpose dog. A multi-purpose dog has got biting, tracking and detection work all in one, and that's the super dog.
The Academy has a breeding program that allows them to optimize the genetics of the pups and monitor their training from a very young age.
For us, it was a better result in terms of the dogs having an overall package that we could actually then sell on to the client.
Along with their record-breaking dogs, the Academy has recently been responsible for another first. They've created what they say is the world's first dedicated pangolin canine counter-poaching unit.
We also are the first school in the world to successfully scent dogs on pangolin scales to try and combat the massive increase in pangolin poaching.
This is Havoc, trained by dog handler Annika Verwey to imprint on the scent of pangolins and their scales.
He's a German Shepherd Malinois cross and about 3 years old, and we're working towards getting him out there to actually catch the poachers.
This training consists of Havoc searching a collection of suitcases, a few of which have pangolin scales inside.
I come in and put the working collar on, so that collar is like the switch for the dog. So then you tap on what you want him to search and then he'll go on his own, and then when he finds the positive he will sit to indicate at the scales. I'm hoping for, you know, success, getting the pangolins out of the trade, just making a difference in the wildlife.
Here at Paramount's facility, they not only train dogs like Havoc to detect animal contraband, they also have the ability to find explosives and to track and bring down poachers.
We will continue to fulfill our role working with the actual rangers on the ground, the police officers and the military in assisting them to apprehend the baseline poachers that's decimating the African continent at the moment.
As the battles continue in the war on poaching, these dedicated foot soldiers are confident they are changing the game, both here in Africa and around the world.
The war can be won, definitely, I believe it. The more that we put our efforts and get the dogs out there, because the dogs are proving to be a major success story all over. There'll always be something else. There'll be the tigers, there will be the lions, there will be the hyenas, there will always be something. So the fight will never end, I believe, but I think we can save a species, for example, the rhinos or pangolins, by just having our dogs operating in those areas, definitely.
As a family that's absolutely dedicated to conservation, we believe that the war on poaching has to be won.
Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.